I love great conversations. Hi, my name is Angel Jones. Thank you for joining me on 12-minute convos where I help you create a brand of your own unique, real self. Listen in as I have conversations with amazing people from all over the world. Good night, Andrew, Rosen. How are you going on this wonderful, beautiful night?
I am very pleased to be speaking with you, and all around can't complain.
It's a great pleasure to connect with you. What part of the world are you in right now?
I am in Nassau County, New York, which is about 20 minutes outside of Manhattan.
All right. I thought you were about to say Nassau, Bahamas. I was like, wow.
Yeah, no, we have probably, about 2,000 miles separating us right now or something like that.
Yeah. Wow. Well, do tell me, which of your talents is responsible for us connecting right now?
I believe probably you found me on LinkedIn, probably due to some podcasting stuff I've done in the past. Started a little something called the Working Podcast back in, I want to say 2005. It could have been early 2006 as one of the first podcasters on the scene.
Wow.
Basically a little show all about career advice, and I'd say I'd stuck with it till about 2010.
Wow.
And it just became super time consuming, and I sort of gave up on podcasting right when it took off.
Are you thinking about coming back on again?
Every day. I think about it. I think about it every day. Family and work commitments and everything have kept me away, but I do hope to find the time in 2018 to bring it back.
Love it. So who did you learn the skill? Even back then, the tech side of what you were doing was a lot more challenging, right? Who did you learn those skills from to even produce a podcast back then?
Yeah, well, the audio portion, I did have some experience out of college at a local radio station. Back then, I'll date myself, but I mean, even when I started there as an intern, they were doing reel-to-reel tape. And
Wow.
by the time I showed up, they were just getting into the digital age. So it was kind of cool to see both sides come together. So I picked up some production skills there. And then a lot of the other stuff when it comes to the RSS feeds and some audio editing and things like that were all self-taught. But, something I really enjoyed and at the time had the time to put into it. So it was an awesome ride, and it was a great way to connect with so many different people. And I actually think the early podcasting set me on a blogging path and a content marketing path that I wouldn't have been on otherwise.
Yeah, let's talk about that. You're definitely in that now, right?
Yeah. So I think, once I realized the podcast was taking so long, I was doing a 20-minute show once a week, but I was trying to put a lot of production value into it. So it definitely took quite a bit of time. I realized that if I pivoted to a blog at that time, I was still able to build my audience and still able to connect, but I could write a lot faster than I can produce the show. So basically the Working Podcast morphed into a website called jobicle.com. And the focus of that is pretty much career advice, but always written from an employee's perspective. So many of the career blogs out there today, if you really look at them, they're there for a couple of reasons. One, to sell job listings. Two, to basically support human resources and your typical work environment. I always try to come at it from the angle of, what's some real world things that employers can do to get ahead at jobs.
Interesting name, Jobicle. Is it to go with Oracle?
It was a combination, and I still have a sheet with all the scribbles on it back from 2005. And it ended up being job morphed with the word cubicle, but also somewhere in there I thought the word debacle came in also. So
makes sense. Yeah, well, the website does have like all of the cubicles going down there. Oh, it looks cold in there.
Exactly. A cubicle could be a very cold and lonely place.
Yeah, it definitely can. So you've been doing this even on the transition from the podcasting. Why will you continue to repeat this skill of writing now, Andrew?
For me, it's a passion. I think it's something that continues to grow. While the content marketing space is definitely very different today than even 2 years ago. Today, unfortunately, you have to pay to get your content seen, even if you write something that's great. And I'm not saying I'm necessarily writing something great. I think that goes for anybody. But for me, it's a passion. It's a love. If I'm writing about topics I believe in, nothing really gives me more pleasure than doing that. So it's something, I hope to continue both in the career advice space, but in other areas as well, just to keep it interesting.
Yeah. Well, I'll definitely say, my friend, you have an amazing voice. It's very warm and welcoming. So if you do decide to jump back onto the podcasting world, please do share it with me. I'll be intrigued to hear what the blogger has to say, if you would. Yeah.
Very kind of you, and right back at you. I mean, I'm like 12 minutes. I can listen to this guy all night. So
love it. Well, tell me one other thing that you've done consistently over the last 3 years, please.
Consistently over the last 3 years, well, at home, probably not sleep, thanks to my 5-year-old son. But other things I've done, I definitely try to keep myself in decent shape, mostly with cardio. And I find when I do cardio on a regular basis, I think clearer, I stay more relaxed, and my writing is much better. So that's become a very important aspect of my life as well.
Is it something that you'd suggest to the upcoming blogger, to the physical side of keeping yourself fit?
I think it's huge. And I would also, meditation, and anytime you can get some time for yourself and time to just breathe and clear your mind, the ideas, the way they flow and the way the words just come naturally, it's an amazing feeling. And I think it's often overlooked. People who are trying to cram 25 hours into a day, for me, at least personally, was never a good path.
Yeah, it definitely is. And so on your LinkedIn feed, there's a typewriter. Ooh, I could just hear the songs of it. Do you use a typewriter anytime in your time that you type?
I
Like the old school typewriter?
That old school typewriter is actually one that I picked up out of the trash, which I've been known to do from time to time. And I've got about 3 or 4 of them now because people toss them. So once in a while I'll pick them up, clean them up, and no ambitions to sell them or anything, but I keep them around the office as motivation for kind of where it all started.
Wow, love it. Well, amazing audience, we are live with Andrew Rosen. Again, he is the blog. You could check out his blog at Jobacle, JOBACLE.com. Well, Andrew, let's switch gears for a moment now. Let me invite you into my time machine that is surrounded with beautiful, warm, blue Caribbean water. Andrew, what is your earliest childhood memory?
Let's see. I think for me, I've actually had a few of them recently. I had the pleasure of bringing my son up to work, and I had it's probably not my first memory, but it's an early one of going up to my dad's office and being so impressed with how big it was and how he seemed like the big boss man. And I remember him having a dry erase board, and for the first time being able to write with the markers and erase it was just fascinating to me. I also had a recent memory, too, also involving my dad, since it is autumn here in New York, with all the leaves down and basically us just kicking a gazillion leaves in each other's faces. And it just gave me a really nice, warm feeling.
How old do you think you were in the both memories?
The work one, I probably was about 8, and probably around the same age for the leaf one. The first memory would involve a Cookie Monster cake, and I was probably about 4, and I don't remember much else except the cake was very blue.
Fair enough. All right, so why do you think these memories are so clear? The first 2 you shared.
Probably kind of rite of passage. I think as I feel myself getting older and becoming a father and just aging in general, definitely kind of hits me in the brain sometimes, and I try to push those thoughts away. And just mortality probably in general as my dad gets older, and just thinking of things shifting and nothing is forever, and just trying to embrace every single moment as best as you can.
Yeah. Well, can I offer an interpretation to the thought picture you created in my mind?
Please.
I love the idea of seasonal, and you said it, you definitely touched on it, mortality. But definitely, how things are seasonal and how long they last for. So it's really intriguing to see the dry erase board and you erasing it, right? So it is of value what you put on there, but it's really, it's necessary to understand that it can be taken off. And then the leaves, where you're kicking these leaves that are again seasonal, that were part of a tree, which is something bigger. But in time, it becomes the thing that's necessary to help the tree live on, right? For it to be lost. So it's really intriguing to see that connect, and then to see that you are representing in a space and time where you're typing away, where you're blogging, right? Mapping all of these things in life. Pretty intriguing.
Yeah, no, I think that's a spot on interpretation. And, life is short. You have to live every day as best you can and just be a good person.
Yeah. Well, Andrew, if we fast forward to when you were 12 years old, what was your favorite song?
Oh, gosh, 12 years old. I mean, if I say Vanilla Ice, Ice Ice Baby, it's just too embarrassing, but it might actually be the truth.
Yeah, it's cool.
I will say probably at 12 would be Guns N' Roses, the Appetite for Destruction album.
Yeah. Cool. All right. It's amazing how these things connect, right? Like the Appetite for Destruction, like you're kicking the leaves, like you're rubbing off the dry erase board. It's fascinating, isn't it?
Yeah, no, and it definitely shows me how I've mellowed through the years, and I'm actually grateful for that.
That's wonderful. Well, Andrew, we've arrived at our destination, but before we get off of this time machine, there's a small declaration form. So it's yes or no, possibly a bit more. We're going to move pretty quickly here. Are you ready, Andrew?
Let's do it.
Andrew, have you chosen someone to pass on your skills to?
No.
Are you married?
Yes.
You spoke of your son. Do you have other children?
Just the one.
Okay. Do you believe in God?
Sometimes.
Do you have an inner circle of friends?
Yes.
Do you watch TV for more than 3 hours a day?
No.
How about 3 hours a week?
Yes.
What about screen time, the phone and or the computer? Is it more than 8 or less than 8 hours a day?
More than 8.
Andrew, after 1,001 conversations in 3 months in 2016, I came up with a workbook thereafter. The name of it is called Yours. Stands for Your Own Unique Real Self, with the idea of you answer questions, self-reflective, that help you connect to your mission, which I like to call your own unique real statement. If you, Andrew, had to share with us your own unique real statement, a statement that represents Andrew Rosen, what would you say that is?
It's a tough one. I'm going to say probably my mantra, which is try to remain confident, fit, and focused, be a decent human being, and it's really that simple.
Love it. Andrew Rosen, this was a great pleasure. Before you leave, is there anything else you'd like to share with our amazing audience?
Thank you so much to anyone who took a part of this journey. I appreciate your time. I think you have an amazing project going on, and look forward to connecting with everyone in the future.
Love it. Andrew Rosen, thank you for being on What is Inspired by 12-Minute Convos with Angel Jones.
Thank you.
Thank you for being on 12-Minute Convos with Angel Jones. Stay tuned for more from our advertisers.
Diabetes is a mountain pandemic. It's a disease that's not acute but chronic. Similar to this rhyming method, I have simplified the definition, the signs and symptoms, and the complications of diabetes for both adults and children in my books, Poems for Patients, A Focus on Diabetes, and The ABCs of Diabetes for Children. These books are available on Amazon.com, and for more information, you can visit my website, poemsbyaj.com. That's poemsbyaj.com.